Alabama and the refs cheated and stole this game from the Texas Longhorns. What did we learn from today's Alabama versus Texas game? That no matter what, the college football world will find a way to get Alabama the wins that they need. This had to be single-handedly the most disgustingly horrific refereeing game that I have ever seen in my life. Real quick before we get into it, be sure to leave this video a like. I know all the Texas fans watching this video, it's gonna be tough. Alabama fans, you shouldn't even be happy about this. You guys know that y'all stole this game. So jumping straight into it, you cannot talk about this game without talking about how poorly and how much in favor the refs were calling this game for Alabama. But before we can even get into that, we have to talk about the biggest story of this entire game. First and foremost, most of the Texas fans watching this video saw my video that I made on Quinn Ewers. I was completely wrong. Quinn Ewers, for the very short time that he was on the field, sadly, he absolutely stepped up and showed out. The pressure, he was handling that with ease. He stepped out there and was making dime throw after dime throw. He was throwing with anticipation, and that deep ball that he made right before he got hurt, absolutely a dime. But then Alabama went and did what they did last time that they played Texas. They went ahead and you can call that a clean, you can try and justify that however you want. That is a dirty hit to wrap up a quarterback and then to drive them into the ground like that. Dallas Turner had both of Quinn's arms pinned against his body, meaning that he has no way to brace himself at all for that fall, while also having a 200+ pound linebacker dropping their full weight straight onto your shoulders. All I hope and pray is that it's not a season-ending injury for Quinn, because that was just a dirty play. And then I'm not gonna lie, as soon as Quinn Ewers went out with how well he was playing, I was like, okay, well, even in my breakdown, I wanted Hudson Card to start. But man, with how good Quinn Ewers was playing and how much of the wind that takes out of Texas's sails. I mean, your star freshman quarterback's out there balling out, and then he makes the best throw that he's made his entire college career, and then the next play he gets hurt, and then you have to bring in your backup quarterback. He was put into a very awkward spot, but I have to hold up Hudson Card. For the situation that he was put in the game that he was put in, he absolutely stepped up, and even playing while he was banged up, Hudson Card absolutely balled out with the weapons that he had. But let's get into the meat and potatoes, where Alabama and the refs started just totally showing their cards that they were in 100% favor of Alabama winning this game. How are you going to call that play a roughing the passer and then have all of that switch to a targeting call? That makes absolutely no sense. What really happened is that the refs, I personally believe that, especially when you get to this high level of football with just how much sports betting money that there is, I do believe that that there is some form of rigging and tampering with football. I hate to say it, but when you see stuff like this, it is absolutely egregious and atrocious. You cannot call that a roughing the passer and then switch it to a targeting call after trying to also make it an intentional grounding call. Literally, you just threw a flag to try and make something happen, and you were lucky that you can kind of call it target. Absolutely terrible. That should have been a safety. That should have been 12-10, Texas going up with Texas about to get the ball, and that would have been a complete momentum changer. But no, you let Alabama get off the hook and just punt the ball out of their end zone. Absolutely disgusting. And then it just got bad because on the touchdown drive before Alabama kicked the game-winning field goal, there were so many times where the offense was moving right before the snap, and they just didn't call it. They were just letting Alabama just move the ball down the field. There was a specific play, I can't remember the play exactly, but there was a play where the left tackle clearly moved early. Or no, it was when he was setting it up. He was setting up. Bryce Young stepped up to the pocket to try and adjust the offensive line before the snap, and the left tackle moved a little bit. He rocked back a little bit. That should have been immediately a false start right there. But no, the refs didn't want to call that, and so they just let him keep on going and keep on running the play. Absolutely terrible. And then, to me, the worst call, the absolute worst, but because the broadcasters didn't acknowledge it, nobody acknowledged it. On the Bryce Young 20-yard run that pretty much set up Alabama to get that game-winning field goal, the right tackle held that linebacker so that Bryce Young was able to roll out. You could see it clear as day. He's grabbing his jersey, and there's a separation from the jersey off the pads. That's a clear holding call. Nope. It's Alabama. We can't call that. Absolutely terrible. I'm sorry, I'm not an Alabama fan, I'm not a Texas fan. As y'all can clearly see, I'm a USC fan. But at the end of the day, I'm a college football fan. And this was one of the worst games that I have ever seen officiating-wise. I have never seen a game where the refs were so clearly in favor of one team, and I just don't like it. I don't like it at all. The way that Texas came out there, the way that they played, despite the injuries, despite the refs blatantly being against them, and for Texas to still bring it down to the wire just for the refs to steal the game away from them, absolutely disgusting. But let's break down Texas's performance a little bit more so we can at least shine a light on Texas, because Texas played a phenomenal game. First and foremost, I know that the 12th man is reserved for Texas A&M, but the Texas fan base showed out throughout the entire game. The noise in that stadium was absolutely deafening and literally was causing problems from the beginning of the game to the end for Alabama. They were jumping off sides. They couldn't get their play calls right. They were just overall, the Texas fans, y'all should be extremely happy with yourselves. And for me, the biggest takeaway from this game, with Texas preparing to go to the SEC, with this being a tester game before Texas moves to the SEC, Texas's offensive line was able to hold up. Obviously, Alabama's defensive line is going to be extremely hard to hold, but Alabama's offensive line did a really good job of giving their players time, giving Hudson Card and Quinn Ewers time to make the throws that they needed to. The running game kind of wasn't there, which is to be expected, so the offensive line's going to need to get a little bit beefier up front. But Texas's defensive line was causing havoc on Bryce Young and that Alabama offense the entire game. Alabama only had 161 rushing yards on the day, and 81 of those came on a busted run play by Jace McClellan in the first quarter. That means for 3 quarters, Texas's defense, and especially their defensive line, held Alabama to only 80 rushing yards. That is absolutely fantastic on Texas's defense. And not only did their defensive line show out, their secondary was phenomenal. Texas did a great job of blanket covering Alabama's receivers. Granted, Alabama's receivers are not the same that we've been used to seeing them these past couple of years, and there were a lot of drops in this game, but you cannot take away from how well Texas was covering Alabama's receivers the entire game. On top of that, Texas's offensive weapons came out to play. Xavier Worthy and Jordan Whittington had a game. Bijan Robinson didn't really necessarily get it done in the rushing game, but he showed out in Texas's receiving game. So the three-headed monster, as far as Texas's top 3 offensive weapons, they all showed out and performed against Alabama. Overall, Texas fans, this is going to be a tough one to have to get over. This game was absolutely stolen from you, from having Texas take away your starting quarterback to having the refs then take away the game. This is going to be a tough one, but there is a shining light. Texas, I will say it, Texas is back. If Texas is able to play at this level consistently, not just bringing their A game when they play A level teams, but if they're able to play at this level each and every single week, despite who they are playing, Texas is back. They had the swagger. They had that place rocking. The weapons were showing out. It wasn't just all hype. Texas fans, again, it's tough. I'm here for you. I was sick watching this game, and like I said, I'm a USC fan. I shouldn't like y'all, but y'all absolutely showed out. This was a great game for Texas. I'm sorry for y'all, but man, you guys should be excited for the future. And Alabama, okay, yeah. So clearly the refs, y'all paid somebody. Y'all clearly had to have paid somebody, because this game was gifted to you. I mean, we saw probably the worst call that we have ever seen in that miscalled safety, and then again, go back and look at that Bryce Young run that set up their field goal. The right tackle held that linebacker. It was so obvious, so bad, and the fact that nobody even mentioned it was bad. I mean, like I said earlier, besides that 80-yard run by Jace McClellan in the first quarter, Alabama could not get anything moving in the running game, and Alabama's receivers need to take a massive step up. They were making terrible drops. They could not create separation off of Texas's secondary, and overall, Alabama has a lot of questions, but I know one thing. Alabama is not the number 1 team in the country. Since they did win this game, They need to be the number 3 ranked team. Georgia needs to be number 1. Ohio State needs to be number 2. Alabama is nowhere near the number 1 team in the country. The only, and I mean the only shining light that Alabama has is, of course, Bryce Young. You know, despite everything, he showed poise. He led his team back late in the game, even though he had the refs helping him. He did show poise. He was making the throws that he needed to. He was leaving the ball where only his receiver can make it. So Bryce Young had himself. He didn't have a great game, but the last drive, he did show why he is getting so much praise. That is the only shining light that Alabama can say from this game. Everything else was gifted to y'all. So all in all, Alabama cheated and stole this game. They were paying the refs. The refs were clearly Alabama fans. I don't know what was going on. And Texas, I know that this is, I can't stress this enough. I would be hurting if I was a Texas fan. This was absolutely atrocious of a game that was just stolen from y'all. But keep your heads up. Do not let this loss affect the rest of your season, because you have, even if Quinn is out for the year, which I pray that he is not, but even if he is, Hudson Card in that Texas offense, let Hudson Card heal, because he was hobbling around a little bit throughout most of the game as well. But with the weapons that y'all have, with the poise and just the grit that you guys showed in this game, Texas is looking to be scary. You guys should make a deep run in the Big 12, and y'all should be excited and hopeful that knowing that when we move to the SEC, we're not going to be then a mid-level team. We're going to be competing with the Alabamas. I don't know about Georgia. Georgia's looking scary. Everybody's afraid of Georgia. Georgia's looking like the Buffalo Bills right now. But Texas is going to be in the mix at the top of the SEC once they do move there, especially with how well they have been recruiting these past couple of years. Comment down below. I already know what most of y'all are going to say, but comment down below. This was, wow. I seriously cannot believe this game. This was supposed to be the game of the day. I feel dirty for watching this game. This was absolutely disgusting of a game to watch. Just to see how the refs treated this game, absolutely terribly. But comment down below, leave this video a like, even though I know it's going to be tough to. Hit that subscribe button, turn on all your notifications. And with that being said, I love and appreciate all y'all. And I will catch you guys in the next video. Ciao.